Hello, I'm Nadia Hassan and welcome to BFM Headlines. As a wise woman once said, let's start at the very beginning with highlights. A new study from the University of Missouri revealed that too much Facebook envy can inevitably lead to depression. So for those of you depressed in front of your Facebooks right now, there's one thing you should do. Stop sending me Pirate King requests! Your judges you when you do that. Some rather spectacular photos of landing planes went viral on Instagram and got shared 1,500 times before somebody went, hang on, how did it get there? When it became clear that someone had flown a drone into what is supposed to be restricted airspace in KLIA, the user disappeared. The Department of Civil Aviation is currently investigating. Live long and prosper, friends. The man behind that phrase and the iconic character Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, passed away last Saturday at the age of 83. Among his accomplishments included being an actor, an author, a singer-songwriter, and being able to put up with Captain Kirk's ego. He will be sorely missed. However, the story of the week that nobody could run away from was what seemed to be the accelerated unraveling of sovereign investment fund 1MDB, our main story this week. It started over the weekend with a provocative headline from whistleblower website Sarawak Report titled Heist of the Century. They wrote an expose about the actions of 1MDB, alleging that wealthy businessman and self-professed fixer and Paris Hilton party maniac low-tech Jho, aka Jho Low, had used PetroSaudi as means of siphoning money out of 1MDB. They had done so by creating a JV company between PetroSaudi and 1MDB, where PetroSaudi put in $1.5 billion worth of assets and 1MDB put in $1 billion worth of cash. Although suspicions were already raised when it said that PetroSaudi didn't even own the assets that it was injecting, the real red flag came when even after the JV was terminated, the $1 billion didn't make its way back home. In fact, it was converted into a loan to PetroSaudi for the JV, for assets that weren't even theirs. You don't have to be Warren Buffett to know that this is an odd way of doing business. Sarawak Report, which backed its expose with thousands of emails said to be between Jho Low and his associates, said that $700 million of that money was put into an account of a company called Goodstar, said to be controlled by Jho Low. However, scrutiny of 1MDB is not new. For months, there has been questions by the media and suspicions within the corporate sector that all was not well at 1MDB. There were repeated allegations of money parked overseas in Cayman Island accounts, and that some of the assets in its stable were overpaid for to begin with. And every time questions had been asked, 1MDB, rightly in its capacity as a private company, chose to remain silent. It was only late last year, when the pressure mounted, that they issued a 3-page report. In the days that followed the Sarawak Report, PetroSaudi came out to say that the emails were fake and that the money had been returned. But PetroSaudi had also filed a police report saying that the email was hacked. Emails that by its own admission didn't seem to exist in the first place. Of course, it could be sheer coincidence that some other emails were also stolen that day as well. Stranger things have happened. The opposition also took the chance to get the claws out and repeatedly questioned where the money had gone, as well as PM Najib's defense of 1MDB's business, even in following the exposés by Sarawak Report and New York Times. Who knows, maybe he was on the jazz. Newly minted CEO Arul Kanda has repeatedly said that the money has been returned and that the attacks were politically motivated. If that was the case though, and there was money in the kitty, then why was there this appeal to Cabinet for a 3 billion ringgit injection to tide 1MDB over? An appeal that was subsequently denied. Later in the week, Cabinet then came out to say that it was confident all was good at 1MDB after it was briefed by both the company and its auditors Deloitte. Its third auditor, by the way, in its 6-year lifespan. However, PM also announced that it would seek that the AG and the Public Accounts Committee to look into 1MDB's books post-haste. Home Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi even came out to say that any attacks on 1MDB would undermine the country's image to foreign investors, that an attack on 1MDB is a concerted attack on Malaysia. Be that as it may, if 1MDB were not able to pay its loans, causing it to default, that wouldn't be good for the country no matter how much you spin it, good for you or not. So, how much does 1MDB actually owe? So let's break it down for you. The local lenders with the biggest exposure were Maybank and RHB. Of a 2 billion ringgit loan that reports had said was repeatedly deferred over the months, it was finally settled thanks to a loan from our friendly neighbourhood billionaire T. Ananda Krishna. However, 4 bonds are still due, comprising a $3 billion bond, a $3.5 billion bond that was split into 2, and a $5 billion bond that raised eyebrows because it had a government guarantee, meaning by hook or by crook, it will be paid. Of course, when you borrow, you have to pay back, right? There's nothing as a free lunch. And the interest payment alone on these loans between now and June 2015, according to reports, comes to some 1.2 billion ringgit. And when is the first payment due? March 9th, to the tune of $66 million. Thus, the total interest amount to be paid back should be 2.482 billion ringgit. So, what happens if we don't pay it back? Well, the bonds go into default and will have an impact on the country's rating. On Thursday, the news surfaced that 1MDB was going to be broken apart and its assets sold or spun off in order to meet its debt obligations, a story that was subsequently denied. But it is to be expected, right, that more of these sort of reports will surface until the matter is settled. In the end, though, that is all we want, for it to be settled. That essentially we, the taxpaying public, get back what was put in. Although the future existence of 1MDB is actually up for debate, don't forget it's still our money. If 1MDB gets bailed out, it's still our money. It's still your money. It's still that lady on the street selling char kway teow's money. Time is ticking for 1MDB, and we can just hope it doesn't explode. That is all from us this week. If you have any comments, leave them below. I'm Nadia Hassan, and this has been your BFM Headlines.